In this video, I'm making a wooden ball bearing on the lathe. For the balls, I'm going to use just regular marbles, and I've already drawn a one-to-one drawing of roughly what size this is going to be. I'm going to start by making the outer ring. I figured the most convenient way to cut the holes is with a circle cutter on the drill press. Then I realized that stock's going to want to jump as soon as it breaks through, so I'm clamping it down before I finish the cut. Now I need to glue those two pieces together to make a thicker layer, and I'm also adding a sacrificial layer to help me mount it on the lathe. Now I need to mount it centered on the faceplate, and I put a hole in the middle of my sacrificial piece to help with that. Now I have a groove on the inside for the marbles to run along. Now I got to round the outside of it. I initially left these tabs on here because I thought they might be useful for mounting it, but I didn't need them. Now I could try taking that off with a parting tool, but then it hit the screws that I used to mount it with. Outer bearing race is complete. Now I need to try to measure how much space I'm going to have between the marbles for the inside one. Just over 5 centimeters. And that means this scrap that came from the inside is big enough. I glued the two layers together. Now I gotta mount this middle part on the lathe somehow, and I figure the easiest way to do it is to just turn a mandrel nice and round and then just ram it on there. This should now be the right size, and the groove should be the right shape for the marbles. Now, how to get the marbles in there? If I move this off the center, then I can get the marbles in there, but it's very tricky to get them in, so I actually made this spacer to help with that. And now I can fill this halfway with marbles. And as long as the marbles are kind of evenly spaced all around, this works as a ball bearing. And this is also how they put together real ball bearings like this one. So let me cut a small one open to show you. So inside of this one we have just 7 balls, and we have this funny guide to keep them spread around evenly. Let's see if I can get that out somehow. Whoops. So here's the guide for the bearings, and the inner race and the outer race. These two look very much like the parts I made. Now I just need to cut 8 holes around the edges of this thing to keep the marbles spaced. This is the size of drill I need to use to drill those holes, but it will probably tear the pieces apart if I try that. So I made this clamping jig that will hold everything in place while I drill them. So far so good. I only broke it in one place. On a real ball bearing, these ball cages are held together with little tabs that are bent over because they have to be assembled in place. I was thinking of using some wood screws to screw it together, but even my smallest number 4 wood screws are too big for this. So I'm thinking I'm just going to tie it together by snaking some copper wire through there. So I've got 2 wires already placed, and I gotta get that in here. Move the marbles to line up with the holes, and now I can place the other half. Hopefully I can get that wire through all the holes. This ball cage was obstructing the view too much, especially because the main goal of the bearing is actually to look cool. So I filled it entirely with balls, and I was able to do that by making a replacement one of these of 2 halves.